Hello everyone, and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Have you ever noticed how sensitive and touchy people are these days? One word that might even be considered to be offensive and everyone's knickers are all in a bunch. Nowhere is this more true than when conservative pro-lifers lay it on the line and say it like it is. For example, for years pro-lifers have been calling abortion such offensive words as killing and murder. By extension, of course, those who kill babies are baby killers. But that gets the left wing frothing at the mouth. So, what do the leftists do? They attack back. It's not enough to attack innocent children in the womb and kill them. They lash out at people who want to defend these defenseless children. All of this is coming to a head in this election, and there's a lot of name-calling going on. But guess who's doing the calling? None other than Mr. Different Kind of Politician himself, the candidate who wants to get beyond the old school politics, Barack Obama. He's calling his opponents liars. No mincing words here. He comes right out and uses the word liars. He accuses his pro-life opponents of lying. Boy, that's an offensive word. Not very tolerant. Rather judgmental, don't you think? But only if they are actually lying. What's the uproar all about? It's all about how Obama defends his pro-radical, pro-abortion view when it comes to children who survive abortion. Now, many people don't realize this, but each year a good number of children actually survive abortion. The so-called doctor doesn't do his job well, and the baby keeps living. Go figure. How should these children then be treated? That question came before Barack Obama when he was a state senator in Illinois in the year 2001. A bill was introduced that said the baby should be protected and given medical assistance to live if it survived an abortion. After arguing strongly against the bill, saying it was a sneaky way to undermine Roe v. Wade, he believed there needed to be specific language that ensured Roe v. Wade was not undermined. So he voted present. And the legislation died. Now, the next year, in 2002, the U.S. Congress passed a bill protecting babies who survive abortion. It was called the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, and it passed the U.S. Senate unanimously. Even stalwart pro-abortion senators like Hillary Clinton, Ted Kennedy, and Barbara Boxer all supported it. Not one opposition vote. Then the next year, in 2003, with a federal law with language that protected their precious Roe v. Wade ruling, a second bill was introduced in the Illinois Senate trying to protect infants who survived abortion. This time, the bill did contain specific language to make sure that unborn children were not given any legal protection. Specifically, it said, quote, "Nothing shall be construed to affirm, deny, expand, or contract any legal status or legal right applicable to any member of the species Homo sapiens at any point prior to being born alive." That was the exact wording that was in the federal law that passed unanimously in the U.S. Senate. So it seemed like a no-brainer when it was brought up in the committee that Obama chaired. When the vote just to accept the language, not the vote on the bill, but just that language came up, Obama voted yes. He said the language was acceptable. But then they moved on to the vote on the full bill, and with that new language in it, he voted no. He and 5 other Democrats still voted against the bill in committee, thus killing it a second time. Well, that's all fine and good. Obama doesn't want to ever approve anything at all that might ever, in some way, somehow, ever undermine the right to abortion. Even if all his pro-abortion pals actually, for once in their political careers, actually vote to protect even one child. But for Mr. New Politics, Mr. Politics have changed, Mr. Reach Across the Aisle, nothing new here. Nothing is more important to him than making sure that abortion remains a sacred right. Fine, but here's the point. When the truth of all of this started coming out about how he was voting, he lied about his vote. And he called his pro-life opponents who were calling him out on his lies, them he called liars. Now here's an interview where he leveled his charges.
They have not been telling the truth. And I hate to say that people are lying, but here is a situation where folks are lying. I have said repeatedly that I would have been completely and fully in support of the federal bill that everybody supported, which was to say that you should provide assistance to any infant that was born, even if it was as a consequence of an induced abortion. That was not the bill that was presented at the state level.
Liar, capital L, capital I, capital A, capital R, liar. At the time he said this, he did not know that pro-lifers were already digging up the actual printed record of the actual hard copy pieces of paper legislation. They had the actual vote and the language and the transcript, and you can take a look for yourself right here. The language we showed you a few moments ago, the very same language that he voted on, he says that language did not exist. That is a lie, and he is a liar. Then, in the same interview, he went on to press his case even more.
For people to keep on pushing this is offensive, and it's an example of the kind of politics that we've got to get beyond. It's one thing for people to disagree with me about the issue of choice. It's another for people to out and out misrepresent my positions repeatedly, even after they know that they're wrong, and that's what's been happening.
As you already heard, he said, had that language been present, he would have voted in favor of the bill. The language was present, he knew it was present, he voted on the language, and then when it was in the bill, he voted against the bill. That's a liar. The only misrepresenting his position that's going on is when he's misrepresenting it himself. How do we know that he's lying on this? Simple. The next day, Obama's campaign came out and admitted that he had it wrong. He had, in fact, cast a vote saying the language was acceptable and then turned around and voted to kill the larger bill anyway. Of course, in order to give an interview where he denied this, he had to be lying. Moreover, until he was caught, he called the pro-lifers liars. Now that the truth is out, what do we have? We have a man who lies about his support for letting children die. A man who calls his opponents liars when he is in fact the one doing the lying. A man who has yet to apologize for accusing his opponents of lying, and a man who is so far left of a whole bunch of leftists that he simply cannot be trusted, not only with abortion, but with the truth in general. And this man wants Americans to trust him and his message of change. The only change this liar is peddling is that he's even more radical on abortion than the rest of the party of abortion. Keep the change, Senator. Christians don't kill babies or let them die. Come November, remember Obama, soft on terrorists, but tough on fetuses. I'm Michael Voris.